Reece James is injured once again, and that has thrown a massive spanner in the works for my Gabriel transfer plans. But I have finally locked in my Game Week 2 team, and in this video, I am going to reveal exactly that. So make sure you drop a like on this video, and of course, smash that subscribe button. You legends have got the channel over 8,000 subscribers, and I honestly can't thank you enough. So without further ado, let's get into this Game Week 2 team reveal. So for those that don't know, regarding the Reece James injury, at the time of recording, this is what we know. He is ruled out with a suspected hamstring injury. The duration of it, we do not know. But of course, Reece James seemed like a fantastic alternative to Gabriel. But with this news, it means that those plans are absolutely gone. And we need to consider other avenues for replacements of Gabriel, or to simply hold him in our teams. So first up, the goalkeeper that is going to be leading this team is going to be Matt Turner at home against Sheffield United. Now, I went for the Pickford-Turner combination, knowing that I would absolutely play Turner at home against Sheffield United, while Pickford was away against Aston Villa. This one is a no-brainer for me. However, if you are in a situation right now where you have Onana and Matt Turner, then I think you are a little bit more trickier in your decision making. I think Onana is one of those where he will concede, but he could accumulate a lot of saves in that game. But for me, I'm all about the fixture, and with Sheffield United looking pretty bleak going forward and Nottingham Forest looking okay defensively last season at home, I'm going to go off that information and assume that Turner is going to be the better pick for both Pickford owners and Onana, and he's going to lead my team this week. Now, moving into the defenders, and you can see here Gabriel has made the cut. I was very, very tempted to sell him prior to the Reece James injury. I was going to get ahead of the game a little bit, make my one free transfer, do Gabriel to Reece James, because Game Week 3 looks so good for everybody. I don't think we need 2 free transfers in that game week. But now Reece James is injured, Gabriel is going to stay in the team. I don't think it is wise to do a sideways move from Gabriel to Saliba, and I do expect Gabriel to return to the team in game week 2 off the back of the injury of Timber with that ACL. I just think away at home, Arsenal aren't going to dominate possession as much as they did against Nottingham Forest, and for that reason, I'm happy to stick with Gabriel and then reassess in game week 3 and what to do with him in the longer term. But in terms of a Stupinan and Ben Chilwell, I cannot be more happier with them in the team. They offer clean sheet potential, and importantly, those attacking returns that could see them get a double-digit return in any given game week, and it's just almost impossible to bench either of those two. So the back three are sticking once again. Now, moving into the midfielders, and I am more than happy to play the 5 once again. Now, you're probably watching this thinking, bloody hell, Nacho, you're brave to go once again with double Man United midfield. However, I know they were terrible in game week 1, but I actually think the Spurs game is a bit more favourable for them from an attacking perspective than that of Wolves at home. Now, I know that's probably just a little bit of me being biased towards my own decision making here, but I do think what I saw from Spurs and Brentford getting in behind that Spurs defence, there are not many better teams than Man United in terms of transitions and likes of Rashford getting in behind defenders. And I think this game is going to be a goal fest. Make sure you do crop that when it is a 0-0 inevitably. But I don't really think I want to rush to a decision right now and knee-jerk someone like a Bruno Fernandes out of my team to a James Maddison who simply plays Man United that week. I don't think it is the right time to do so. And with someone like a Phil Foden having Newcastle at home in game week 2, I think this is the perfect opportunity for us to reassess Man United and these assets in general. If they look woeful once again, in game week 3, we can decide maybe it is the opportunity to come down from a Bruno and invest in a Maddison or a Phil Foden. But for this game week in isolation, I am happy to go with it once again and back the game week 1 decisions that I went for, doubling up on that midfield. The Saka-Martinelli combination I am more than happy with, and I do expect Martinelli to start against Crystal Palace away. And of course, Mbeumo getting that penalty in game week 1. The underlying numbers was decent as well. There's no chance I'm moving away from him. All the 6.5 millions had fantastic underlying numbers, and I'm just happy to stay with the penalty taker in a very good Brentford team. So the 5-man midfield is sticking again. Now for the 2 that are leading the line, and of course it is going to be Erling Haaland, and Ollie Watkins is staying in the team. I know Nicholas Jackson posted about a 1.2 XG against Liverpool, but I don't think it is the right time to move away from Ollie Watkins. When I looked at the fixtures previously, I saw Newcastle away. That was always going to be a difficult fixture, but I looked at Everton at home with the thought that, yes, someone like João Pedro might do better in game week 1, but this is the opportunity for Ollie Watkins to catch up in that favourable home game against Everton. I think Aston Villa are going to be looking for a reaction. Yes, Sean Dyche could just put 10 men behind the ball and shut up shop, but with someone like Ollie Watkins who's offering guaranteed game time on penalties and I do think this is a good fixture for Aston Villa. I am more than happy to stick with him. The alternatives, I could go down to a João Pedro, but I just don't really feel like it's a need right now. I could go to a Nicholas Jackson, but I would argue game week 3 is the entry point for someone like a Nicholas Jackson, and all Liverpool forwards off the table right now. So I'm more than happy to stick with these front two, reassess in game week 3 whether I want to free up some cash and go down to someone like a Nicholas Jackson, but I'm delighted with these two for now. Now for the unlucky ones on the bench, and to be honest with you, there was no FPL headache here. I love these game weeks, but I don't have to stress about points on my bench. If it is to happen, I know I've made the right decision at least. Pickford away against Aston Villa. He could come away with a 12-pointer, but I am more than happy playing Turner at home against Sheffield United. Udogie at home against United. Again, a perfect opportunity for me to assess whether he is going to be a good FPL option or not. And when we get later down the line, I can then decide to start him in game week 3 or 4, or simply sell him to a better 4.5 million. Kabore with that blank game week, and Mabama didn't get any game time in game week 1. I hope he maybe comes on against Chelsea just to justify him being my 4.5 million forward for future game weeks. But this is how the squad's looking, and to be honest with you, keeping my transfer in the bank I think is wise, because I don't see any players here that are desperate sells, and looking at the rest of the alternatives in the market, I don't really see any other options out there that I'm desperate to use that free transfer for off the back of that Reece James injury, because he was the only one that was really tempting me away from one of my starting 11. Now regarding captaincy, I think it's a little bit boring for my own personal team. Erling Haaland is going to take the captaincy with the vice captaincy on Bukayo Saka. However, if I was a Mo Salah owner, I would absolutely put the captaincy on him. Man City playing midweek against Sevilla with Haaland playing 90 minutes is not a good thing at all. I do expect Haaland to play against Newcastle. I do expect him to play majority of the minutes, but it isn't good reading when we do see things like that. Whereas Mo Salah, on the other hand, at home against a Bournemouth team, this isn't the 9-0 Bournemouth team that lost last year. I think it's going to be a better, more streetwise Bournemouth. But looking at the press that they put on in game week 1 against West Ham, I think there are going to be spaces for Liverpool to get in behind that defence. And I would expect Mo Salah to do very well in game week 2. So if you own Salah, you've got to ask yourself, if you're paying 12.5 million and you're not captaining him at home against Bournemouth, when do you do it? You absolutely do it in this game week. But for my own personal team, I don't see any better options than Erling Haaland this game week against Newcastle. Like back Man City against any team at the Etihad. So just to confirm, I will be rolling my free transfer this week and giving myself 2 free transfers come game week 3. I've discussed in previous videos about how game week 3 looks amazing for every single player, and I think I'm going to struggle to actually make a transfer, but we know these things happen in FPL. Injuries arise, red cards happen, and I think I will find a way to use my free transfers in game week 3. I'd rather have the flexibility than forcing a transfer in this specific game week. Yes guys, okay, that is going to wrap up today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and again for smashing 8,000 subscribers on the channel. I honestly cannot thank you enough. Once again, if you did enjoy the video, please do consider hitting that like button and smashing the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. Take care guys, cheers.